Good.
Friends, listen, this is our first time doing a podcast. So we're a little bit not nervous, just not really sure what we should be doing or how we should start it. Kevin counted us in like a drum, like 1, 2, 3. But yeah, there you go. Like we're a jazz ensemble, which we're not.
So if you haven't figured it out by now, Rebecca Lang, Kevin Yurichko, Shepherd Ministries, and we're here at the Lighthouse, the studio of the Lighthouse, and this is our chance to tell you about our first group experience that's going to happen here at the Lighthouse, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, so if you've ever heard of the book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, but you have not hurried up to get it, then you need to. You need to be ruthless about finding it.
That's sort of like us not being in a hurry to get this group experience off the ground. We started talking about it a year ago.
Guess
we've
what?
been in no hurry.
It starts in a week. So we're excited. We already have 10 people signed up, which is great. If 20 signed up, that's wonderful too. But anyway, the point is during our season of getting this building open and really getting our offices ready and this space available, our ministry outpost, if you will, we read this book. And it was, for me, it was really life-changing in terms of really coming to terms and reconciling how, not just how busy I am, but how I've keep myself busy because I just feel like I got to remain busy. It's either lazy or I'm not performing, you name it. There's a number of different things. Or distracted. Exactly. So we both loved it.
Drug of choice.
That's a good way of putting it.
Keeping busy keeps us distracted. And we're going to talk a lot about that over this time. So part of what happened in reading this book for both of us was that instead of just gathering information, we realized how much this needs to be a transforming kind of experience. And so, you've heard all the statistics, the amount of information in the world is doubling like every couple hours now. And so information doesn't solve anything, but we've been practicing this idea of the ruthless elimination of hurry. And we've learned a few things, but we've got a whole lot more to learn. And that's where you come in. We need you. We need a spiritual community. That's part of what we've discovered, is that this isn't just about getting less frenzied in our activity. It's actually about building relationships that help us focus on what matters and what's really important.
And really, when you think about this class and our invitation to you, it's less about a class and, like Kevin said, more about a spiritual community, just an opportunity for us to work through the book and the workbook together, and really just talk and wrestle and grapple with those things that keep us distracted and keep us maybe even a little bit isolated or arm's length, and close to those that we love and to God, importantly.
Absolutely.
And so just the opportunity to dive into it with some people I know really well, others I haven't seen in a while who are going to be a part of this. And others are, acquaintances, but nonetheless, what I think the common denominator in all of us is this need to slow down, to be more present, to be focused on some of the spiritual practices and disciplines that we'll talk about, that have been really helpful to me. And even though I've read it and been through it, I still have a lot more to learn. So I'm excited about it.
Exactly. Well, we're going to start off where our church gathering just ended this last week. We have been looking through the Sermon on the Mount. Sermon on the Mount ends with this fascinating challenge from Jesus to say, he who hears these words and puts them into practice is like a wise man who builds his house on the rock. And so he mixes together that idea of, I've told you some stuff, but now you got to do something with it. So we are going to pursue a way of life together. And part of that is learning a different pace and learning to create some space and really just learning what is it like to go the pace of Jesus. So it's interesting. One of the things I loved about reading this book was I found out C.S. Lewis had a spiritual director. And I had no idea he had a spiritual director, but my son has a spiritual director. I try to be a spiritual director sometimes, but C.S. Lewis, this amazing guy, had this spiritual director. His name was Walter Adams. And he said once, to walk with Jesus is to walk a slow, unhurried pace. Hurry is the death of prayer and only impedes and spoils our work. Now, Rebecca and I have been working together for a long time. We've worked out together and run together. We've played together. We brought our families together for fun times and friendships. And so we're trying to put this into practice and be less affected by the things that nip at our attention. But there's some cool stuff that we've learned in this book about what it looks like to slow down and what happens if you don't. One of the quotes from this book was that hurry is like violence to the soul.
Oh, that hit me in the soul. Yeah. I felt like that was a punch to my soul. That quote, not just hurry. The point being, it just resonated. It resonated so much with me. And when I think about even your quote from C.S. Lewis, or was that his spiritual advisor who said that? Yeah. That idea of, hurry, what did he say exactly? The death of prayer and spoils our work. There are so many times where I rush out the door and I just don't have time to pray, or I'll do it while I'm driving, on the way to work. And then it doesn't happen. And then, not that every time you pray means that your day is just going to go brilliantly, not saying that, but there is a sense of peace. There's a sense of, okay, I want to seek God in this time, really determine what's his will for me today. I want him to be able to speak to me about how I show up today with those sorts of things. And I just feel when I do those things and spend that extra moment with God in the morning, my day does seem to go better. I feel mentally prepared. I can reminded of who I can lean into throughout the day. And so, yes. And that this book is chock full of those sorts of quotes and those things that just, get you in the gut. One, I love, John Mark Comer, who is the author of this book. He also had a spiritual advisor or a mentor who was John Ortberg, and he was sitting down with them. And, John Mark Comer, you'll see or read in the beginning of the book, pastor, always busy, those sorts of things, meeting with his mentor. And he's like, what do I do? I'm at my wit's end. I'm just so busy all the time. I'm a pastor. There's so many needs in my church and the community. I'm trying to be relevant in my community, change my community, my family demands, all those things. And John Ortberg basically says, you need to ruthlessly eliminate hurry. It is a form of violence on the soul. Again, there's that soul word. It's a form of violence on the soul. Oh, we said that already, didn't we? I repeated it. You're gonna have to edit that part out. Edit it away. Yeah.
Yes, no. I think what blew me away was when you and I were talking earlier, and this Ronald Rolheiser quote came up.
Oh yeah.
And just your reaction blew me away, because I thought that's why this book has stirred us up so much, is that it's just packed full of, as you said, of these powerful kinds of quotes. So Ronald Rolheiser said, we are distracting ourselves into spiritual
oblivion. That's such a hard word, right?
And then he coined this term, this phrase,
pathological busyness. I resemble that remark.
Well, yeah,
I do. Not as much as I used to, honestly. And I think that's the point. I think we friends have seen the change in our life, incremental and small, but definitely change. Yeah. And there are times where we want so badly to be able to have this margin, and we really do prioritize that. And sometimes, honestly, there are weeks, let's be honest, there are weeks where we're super busy. Oh, yeah. But for the most part, whenever possible, we really try to build that margin and to be present and available for whatever God puts in our path.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, being friends with you, I know that you on the outside show when you're busy, you're pathologically busy or whatever. I'm more of an internal kind of person.
That's
So
true.
like I may look like a duck above water on the outside, but on the inside I'm going
Yeah.
crazy and just so turned up, so anxious. And so you don't get an out on this just because you look like you're at peace. You know yourself on the inside. And that's what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to the inside, the outside, our bodies, our spirit, and just really begin to create some margin together. Margin was classically defined.
Yes.
That space between our load and our limits. And most of us carry more than we should.
And it's true. And I agree with you in that this isn't just for people who are working full time or people who have kids or have 2 jobs. If you're retired, we want you to join us because you might be just as busy or you might feel just as busy. And even if you don't feel like you're chronically busy, there are some areas in this particular book where I wasn't aware of it until I read it. Things like, the distraction.
Oh, yeah.
The distraction of certain things in my life. We all know the typical ones of technology but even other things, the cleaning of the house constantly or those sorts of things that end up being distraction to really spending time with God, really spending time.
And I mean, the cleaning because we're worried about what other people think, which really just zaps so much out of us.
But the point is, it's for everybody. You don't have to be running around with your hair on fire to join us. If you just want to remind your spiritual practices and disciplines, we would love to have you.
Absolutely. So the Lenten season is upon us. Ash Wednesday's around the corner. This series, this group experience begins Monday, February 12th.
Next week.
It'll go through basically the Monday after Easter, April 1st. So sign up. We'll make sure there's a link in the notes below. And so glad that you would consider watching us talk about this and then hopefully joining us in this journey together.
Good to see you there. Hurry and sign up.